What is up, guys? And in today's video, we have the man himself, Miguel, who needs no further introductions or not. What do you think?
Well, maybe. I mean, some
Mhm.
people know me, some people don't. So, yeah.
100%. Miguel is actually a very good friend of mine. Over the past year, we've known each other for a year now, right?
Yeah, like about a year or so. Yeah.
100%, 100%. So how do you wanna go this? I'm sure people would like to hear your story and what you've accomplished from, when we first met till now, what you're working on and how that overall journey's been, like from the beginning.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when we met each other, I was living with my mom. I
Mhm.
was 19 years old at the moment. I was like about a month remaining just to turn 20. And
Mhm.
then I was broke. I knew I wanted to achieve big things in life, but I didn't know how. So when we met each other, we it's funny because we talked about entrepreneurship. We talked about a lot of different things and like going to Marbella and like just improve our lives. And over the span of like a month, I became a closer. So sorry, I became a setter, and then I went from a setter to earning $3,000. And just for context, I'm Colombian. I'm from Colombia. And as a Colombian, if you earn $500, that's like you're a professional. Like you have a professional degree and you're working at a nice job. And for me to earn $3,000 in a month, 19 years old, from my mom's house, nobody believed me. So I went in all in sales. I became a closer. 9 months, $15,000 a month as a 20-year-old. So
Gee.
essentially, my life completely changed. And yeah, I think it's just self-belief. But that's a little bit about who I am. I mean, I'm a young man that never liked anybody telling him he can't do anything. So if I wanted to do something, I went ahead and I just did it. So yeah, I mean, 9 months changed my life. What can I say? Living with my girlfriend, my own house. Right now, I'm traveling all over the world and building my business.
Son, and did you have any experience before in terms of sales, or was it the first time you jumped in? Because I know you first started doing 3K a month, basically doing DM setting, and then you moved into basically closing. So before that, before you even got into this online space, how did you get into it, firstly? And also, how did you then, did you have any experience selling before you jumped into this online space, or was it just, figuring it out as you go?
No, I think it was just figuring it out as I go, to be honest. I did work at a call center
Hmm.
before I became a setter. I was being paid $430 a month, and I
Hmm.
was working my ass off, bro. I was working from 1 p.m. all the way to 12 a.m. night.
Hmm.
And then I was getting home like 2 a.m. at my house. I only lasted like 2 months at that job because I didn't want it that for myself. Of course, I'm very ambitious. And
Hmm.
then when I became a setter, I was actually an SDR, which is like not DM setting, but like actually setting through the phone, like calling people. And that gave me so much character, bro. Like getting so many no's, getting so many rejections, like getting used to no's. It was educational and it became easy for me. I was top setter. I like top three setters and out of like 50 setter team in one of the like hardest info products that we were selling at the time. And then I just moved up to a closer eventually.
Okay, okay. And I'm sure, like, when you started out, was it easy or was it very difficult? Because I know, when we first met, I remember Miguel was, looking for roles and you were saying, "Hey, does anyone have this opportunity for me?" And then, you found something, but when you got into it, was it easy for you to just get a hang of it, or did you struggle for a bit and then found a bit of success and then it just snowballed into that?
It's very funny because I think it has everything to do with the right role, the right offer, the right opportunity. And I was so
Mhm,
blessed to have a community like A Players where there's like good info products hiring, I think. So, as you know, I connected with Patrick, and then Patrick essentially told me if I wanted to become a closer, whatever. I applied, I went through the interview, and the guy liked me. He's actually a good friend of mine nowadays.
mhm,
But right now, I went through my first sales call. Let's just say that. Like, I went through my first sales call. It didn't close right away, but I followed up with him like 2 weeks after he closed. So we could say my first ever closing call was a close, and it
mhm,
closed for 1,500, which equals $150 in commission. And then like my second call closed for 2,500. So my first two ever closing calls were closed, and I
mhm.
commissioned. So I think it's just being in the right opportunity, to be honest with you, what makes the difference.
Okay. And over the course of, just finding the right, I mean, bro, like closing two calls at 10% commission is insane if you think about it. Like your first two calls, and it was your first time ever doing it, right?
Yeah, I think it is because I'm very genuine and I
Mm-hmm.
really believed in the product.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I wasn't the best at persuasion or saying X, Y, and Z like in a specific objection handling phrase, like the prospect could tell I genuinely cared about him. That's why they buy, and that's why they still buy nowadays.
And how important is, basically having that sense of relationship, that, the prospect feels like you actually care about what it is that you're selling to them. I mean, just jumping into the world of sales, because I have no idea. Like, I'm not the best person in sales, and when I, take on sales calls or things like that, I like to just, just identify, know what the problem that they're having and try, communicate it as best as I possibly can be. But I'm sure like it's a completely different world in the, different style of doing things in the world of sales, right? How would you explain it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is nowadays there's a lot of coaches like trying to tell you that for you as a closer, you need to say in a specific line, like when
Mhm,
you're objection handling or when you're in truth discovery, like say this is specific thing because that will switch them off or whatever. But for me, it's just digging what do they need, but what do they actually truly want and desire? Because I had this discussion with my girlfriend, and I was thinking, if I have a lot of friends in my hometown that have bought for me my coaching program, and I was telling to her, if I was selling drop shipping, if I was selling
mhm,
e-commerce, like I don't know, flipping cars, whatever it is, whatever I was selling, it doesn't even matter because they bought for me because they trust me. They bought for me because they saw my lifestyle and my results. So at the end of the day, nobody cares what the vehicle is. Like nobody really care what the vehicle is. They just care the results, and they have a deep why behind it. So it's just all about it. Like just dig out what is the why behind their decision making process. What makes them wake up in the mornings, essentially. And that's where they actually can tell if you care because you ask the right questions.
okay. And how important, because I know you're saying it right now, like asking the right questions is one of the most important things. I'm just curious, like when you started out your journey, anyone around you would be, even here, like making $3,000 sounds insane to think about, just solely just doing remote online sales. In terms of community, like where you're at in Colombia, Medellin, no, you're not in Medellin, right?
No, I'm in a close city, Pereira.
Oh, yes, yes. So just where you are at, is there a lot of people that have the same mindset, in terms of in terms of sales and just building and growing? Do lots of people have that? And if so, if not, how did you basically just, break free from that and just, say, hey, I'm gonna jump into this online space and I'm just gonna do the best that I possibly can and get into sales. How did that happen?
Not at all. I mean, there's a lot
Hmm.
of people that I've known ever since I was in high school and then university, where I dropped out of uni. But
Hmm.
every single person I came across just didn't want it to do unrealistic things. Let's just say that. So ever since I'm very ambitious. Like I was saying to my grandmother when I was 8 years old, I wanted to become rich. Like I wanted to
Hmm.
be a millionaire, and she was laughing it off. Oh yeah, yeah, sure, ha ha ha, like a joke. And they
Hmm.
say that like do not wish things that you cannot do or like that or that you're just dreaming, whatever. Even my own grandmother, right? So obviously it's not ill intended. Like she wants the best for me. She wants to take care of me, but that's how most people are programmed. Like they have a lot of limiting beliefs, and I feel like 99% of people have limiting beliefs and they have no knowledge to even slightly change it. So when I was in high school, I was already trying to do dropshipping. I was already trying to do business when I was like 15 years old. And I was telling my like classmates, "Oh, let's do this business together." They were like, "Oh, nah, I'd rather go and play some PlayStation, or I'd rather just do the, or I'd rather do drugs, whatever." Like, normal high school people. So for me, it's like I've always been ambitious, and I've always been so delusional. Um, I'm just delusional, and then it just came into a reality eventually when I became a closer. It just materialized, right? Like everything that I ever dreamed of materialized because I was so persistent. Because I never gave up. I never just settled.
Hmm.
And it's funny because once people from my school started seeing me living this life, traveling, like just having freedom, buying nice things for myself and my family, all of them were like, "Yo, do you have a job? Like, hey, how do I do that? Like, can you help me?" So I feel like it's not their fault. Like they are made that way because most families from poor families just have a lot of limiting beliefs. But you got to be the first example. If anybody's watching this and you genuinely want to make a change, like you got to be the first one. You got to make it work. And then you will inspire your friends, you will inspire your family. But you got to walk the talk.
and certainly walk the talk you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like with what you're saying, does it also just attract the bad apples, like bad apples, like in terms of what you're doing? Because I'm sure a lot of people see you like where you are at now, in terms of, you're closing, you're doing deals, you're doing all these things, but like, does that ever bring bad attention, especially where you're at, or not at all?
What do you mean by bad attention? Like from like my prospects and or my family, my friends?
In the sense of people trying to, just become friends with you that weren't really friends with you now, simply because of what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, no, because I'm very protective of my
Hmm.
friendships, to be honest. Like I only hang out with a good friend of mine, like probably 3 days out of 7 days of the week, right?
Hmm.
And he's like my best friend. Besides that, I'm living with my girlfriend. And then if I'm meeting somebody else, I'm connecting with them. And I'm very open to having friendships. if I know they are genuine. Like it doesn't even matter to me if they have money. It doesn't matter at all. Like if this person is genuine and I know this person wants more for himself, like it's an interesting person to talk. And I've been able to have amazing friendships over the last 2 years with people in the space. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's people that have bad intentions or they are not genuine. And I kind of like pushed back and I stepped away from those relationships or just didn't interacted further with them. Even if it was nice at first, like you can tell, like, oh, this person might not be the most genuine person ever. So I just rather not, you know?
100%. And we were speaking just now about you talking about, before this call started, where we were talking about, going out and, meeting these different people. I mean, how was it, meeting, the guys from the community, A players, meeting them, for the first time, first time meeting, going out. Was it your first time leaving Colombia when you went out to Maria?
Like, if it was my first time meeting them,
Yeah, no, like leaving Colombia.
oh, living Colombia, yeah, it was my
Yeah.
first time. First time
Mhm,
ever leaving my country straight into
mhm,
Marbella. It was insane. I met up with a lot of people from A players. A lot of
mhm,
them were very helpful. They were just
mhm.
so open to discussing like what they were doing with their business or just open to help, which is amazing. I feel like that's what a community is all about. And yeah, bro, it was my first time traveling ever. Paradigm shift also. Like it just materialized further my belief.
How did it materialize your belief? Like what did you see that changed the way that you had an outlook on, like how
Yeah.
did going out there change your perspective?
Yeah, that there's truly nicest things in life that I
Hmm.
deserve experiencing.
Hmm.
Because when you are born in a country where most people are living in poverty, or not even in poverty, but like, just averageness, like pure averageness, like nothing, like you will not ever even see a Tesla here. Like that's the extent of it. Let alone a Lamborghini. Like you can see it in Medellin, but like not in my hometown, right? So like going to Marbella and seeing Lamborghini, Rolls Royces, Ferrari, like Porsche, but not even about that, but like seeing the people building businesses, being so into online business, like having no limiting beliefs, believing they can do anything, and hearing them talk and share a lot of time together. It was like I belong here, you know, like I always belong here. I just came, you know.
100%. And when you went back, did anything shift within inside you
Oh my
that
God, bro.
tell me all
Bro,
about it.
I was depressed. Like I was about to cry when I was in the
Mm-hmm.
Uber on my way to the
Hmm.
airport in Madrid, Spain.
Hmm.
And I came back to my home, and the first thing I do is I request a taxi, and I go to my house. My mom was
Hmm.
waiting for me in the airport. She was waiting for me. I gave her a big hug. We all got into taxi on our way home, and throughout our way home, there was like a guy getting robbed like at a corner. And then there was like all of these different people. I don't know, it was just so depressing, like such a contrast from what I was experiencing a few hours and then like just
Yeah.
coming here and then I was like, I gotta lock in. I gotta lock in,
Hmm.
I gotta get out of here. And I did.
And then how long did you lock in? Like, was it specifically since then or now?
Since then I think like
Hmm.
ever since I came from Marbella, I've
Hmm.
been relentless. I've been reviewing my sales calls. I've been improving my closing call. I was actually making like 3K a month when I went to
Hmm.
Marbella. When I came from Marbella,
Hmm.
next month and a half, I made 15K. It's not a coincidence.
Well, like a month and a half after you went to Marbella to this networking event, then that's what changed the paradigm, and then you basically 3x what you were doing at the moment at that
Yeah.
time. That's insane, bro. That's insane. How did, like, what changed within you? Is it just seeing these guys in the online space, seeing how they're crushing it, and just, being around that environment that changed your or removed limiting beliefs?
Yeah, I think it was the fact that I was there with them. Again, they are only humans.
Mhm,
Like, they are not different from any of us. They just made the right choices. They bet on themselves. They take risks. They invest. And coming again, it was the contrast from what I was experiencing, which is an immense high for me in dopamine, because that's where I wanted to be. And then coming back from to my hometown and being so depressed, seeing so much poverty, being seeing like feeling like I was in dog shit. And it sounds bad, right? But it sounds a little bit bad. But
mhm,
I felt like that at the moment. And I was like, I gotta log in. And ever since the very first day, I didn't even sleep. Like straight up getting into a better offer. But reviewing my sales calls, like outreaching, getting like 5 interviews a week for closing roles,
mhm,
being out there, like just doing all of these different things. I just made it happen as quick as possible because I was so urgent.
mhm. Do you think that sense of urgency, just changed things within you? And also, I think most importantly, I have this question to ask you that I'm just thinking about right now before I forget. Do you think you would be where you are right now if it wasn't for for the community, basically A players? Do you think you would be where you are at right now?
Right now, I wouldn't.
Mhm,
I would have been eventually, even if it took
mhm,
5 or a year longer. I
mhm,
know for sure I would have been here. But having a community helps you keeping yourself accountable,
mhm,
getting the right network, getting around the right people. And I think, especially around sales, everything is network. So, yes, like coming in here was thanks to being an A player, just because, of course, getting the right people is everything. But
mhm.
I will say, like, even if it wasn't 15K, I will probably be making like 3K, 5K, like networking still. But investing is a huge part of my journey. Like, I've invested over 15K into mentorships at this point. So, yeah.
Mhm. You've invested over 15K into mentorships?
Yeah.
How, like, for you, why invest 15K into mentorships? What benefits is that, or is that for you? I mean, how's, investing into mentorships helped you, besides A players, of course, but just, how's you pouring a lot of money back into you or these mentorships helped you, like, progress on your journey?
Shortening the learning curve,
Hmm.
like just getting the right information that's working currently and applying it into your business right away. You're essentially sure it's like a shortcut, but you still gotta put in the work. And mentorship is nothing, it's just information. But if you don't put in the work, I will never suggest you investing into mentorships. So I've invested into mentorships, it has paid off. Not only because of the info, not only because of the gain, the financial gains, but I've also because of the network. Because you're also connecting with people that have invested into themselves. And those people are very valuable because they know what works. Some of them have different results. But if you network with them, like you can actually get it yourself.
100%. Bro, I love that. Like I'm one of those guys that like just pour, like, bro, if there's an event, I'm there, bro. Like if there's an
Yeah.
event, and I know you're gonna bash me for I know you're gonna bash me for the Spain chat that we had. You're gonna bash me, you're gonna say, bro, you should go to Spain, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Bro, I mean, bro, like, you and I, from when we first connected, we've ultimately had like, a call once every 2, 3 months. Is it 2, 3 months? Or we've had calls regularly, right? And we've always been, helping each other out in terms of our journeys.
Yeah.
I know we're doing two completely separate things, but I think, just ultimately just having that network as well is super important. Like I learned so many things from you and what you're doing. Like I watch your videos also at the same time, and I learned so much about sales, and I just see you crushing it, and I'm just like, bro, this is my guy crushing it right there and then. And I'm just like, bro, what about the people that, don't have that, like if you were seeing yourself like a couple years back and you didn't have, that network of, just people that you can just, relate to and just speak to, do you think, you would have been able to, create this vision of yourself, or would it have taken a lot longer, in the process to build this big vision that you've had? Do you think us, just connecting, just having and sharing value has ultimately also just helped you along your journey, or is it just something that, you have to just communicate with different people, if you get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it has helped a lot because you're sharing ideas and you're motivating each other. I've always
Mhm,
had accountability partners along the way. I have a good friend of mine from Brazil that we
mhm,
connected with when we had nothing, bro. He was also living with his mom.
mhm,
Nowadays, he's crushing like 20K days, like
mhm.
an
Daily.
insane. He's at an insane business as a with direct response
Mhm,
marketing, which is
mhm.
insane. But we both started from nothing. And yeah, I think it's very useful to have accountability partners. So having a chat with you, of course, it helped. Having a chat with the mirror, having a chat with all of the different people in the community is very helpful.
100%, 100%. I love that. And just just us just even having this conversation, bro, like I think it's super valuable. And also, I just wanted to know, like when you first got your first 3K check, I mean, I'm sure like a lot of, people in Colombia would be like, wow, like how am I gonna, use this money and things like that. What did you like, what was the mindset of you going into like, I've just received 3K. What did you do? What was the first thing that you did, basically?
Well, it is going to sound weird, but I always
Mhm,
knew I was going to make 3K a month. As a matter of fact, I already
mhm,
saw myself, even back then,
mhm,
making $1 million eventually.
mhm,
So for me, I made 3K. I was like, this is nice. Like, I'm seeing progress. Like, I already took my first step, but it didn't really intrigue me. It didn't really make me happier. It didn't really, neither the 15K. Like, it's just materializing my belief. So I wasn't really that excited. I know it's going to be very different for a lot of people, but for me, I just think I deserved it. And this is just the first step. Let's make more. That's how I am. Like the
100%.
thing that excites
Mhm.
me the less in this world is money. I just make it.
Really?
I see it as a number in my bank account. But for me,
Mhm.
it's not the amount, it's what it can do for me and the impact I can do with it.
And what does that look like for you? Like in terms of, like does it give you more access to things basically for what it is that you want to do? Like let's say you making all this money and that's cool, but like does it actually, feed into your other businesses and things like that, or is it just cool, it's in my bank account now? You know what I mean?
For everything I invested, like I invest almost everything. Of course, I'm not dumb. I have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of savings. I probably have a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years worth of savings. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing I do is I don't buy brand like for clothing brands that are like
Mm-hmm.
Gucci, stuff like that. I don't really like it. And it's not because I have like a poor mindset or whatever, but for me, it's more of like I like to buy things that I enjoy, such as like computers, more like technology based. And then, of course, traveling. That's really the main things that I invest my money on. So, yeah, I mean, that's really what money is useful for me.
100%, 100%. And what is the mindset that goes into sales? Like, I just want to dig a lot deeper into this because I'm so curious, like I've never like done sales in the online space, but how would you describe the mindset that needs to go into sales? I mean, you mentioned that you started and you're like, I'm gonna do this, and then you did it. But like, what is the more initial mindsets that you need to go through? Like, what are the things that you experience basically in sales? Or first getting a shot in sales.
I think it is like disassociating yourself from the outcome. Because at the end of the day, as a closer, when you hop on a sales call, a lot of beginners or a lot of people will just be commission hungry. Like they will just go through the entire sales call and then just wait for him to tell you, yes, let's do it. Buy the thing, collect your commission, and that's it. So if you learn how to properly like do not care about the results, you're going to be a great closer or a great SDR, great setter. Essentially, because if you can genuinely just be like, okay, I genuinely want to help you, and this is what I'm presenting to you, and the objections will be mostly logistical. Like, you got to do a good job at the discovery. Because at the end of the day, if somebody's telling you, I will need to think about it, why is that? Because they don't see the value in your product, or they don't trust you, or both. So learn how to master yourself first. Learn how to talk with conviction. Believe in what you're selling. Because if you don't believe in what you're selling, you're just commission hungry. So you're not really aligned. You're not really a good salesman. So I feel like that's the most important thing.
100%. And has there been times where you struggled along your journey in terms of getting into sales and, having the roles that you've had? Have you ever struggled?
Yeah, I've struggled a few times as a closer or even as a setter. You get into a slump sometimes where
Mm-hmm.
you're comfortable. You're too comfortable. Maybe you're earning a lot of commissions. Let's say you have a good week and you
Mm-hmm.
crush it, like you make like 5K in a week or even 10K in a week in commissions. Next week you're like, oh yeah, yeah, let's go. You're like more tired, like you're like you don't care. You stop like answering robotically. Like, oh yeah, so this is what we do, XYZ media or whatever. So do you want to go ahead? They say no. And then you're like just reading off scripts, objection handling. Then of course
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to close it. Like you gotta be high energy. You gotta be focused. You gotta care. You gotta communicate with the person you're talking to. And then yeah, I mean just reviewing your sales calls. Like review, study yourself. Because that's how you identify when you're missing.
And how important is reviewing sales goals for a closer or SDR? SDRs don't close, right? If I'm not mistaken, they don't
SDRs
get
are
on the
setters.
actual sales call. Oh, okay, cool, 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 cool. So how important is reviewing your sales call, that entire process of just learning off of the sales calls that you have, and what have you personally picked up, from that to better become a better closer? What have you learned from that, basically?
I mean, my best months came from
Mm-hmm.
reviewing a sales call that I did terribly wrong and then
Mm-hmm.
fixing them. Because you can see yourself. I was seeing myself with my sales manager. He was helping me reviewing the sales calls too with me same time. Like just sharing my screen and reviewing it together. And then he was like, "Bro, you didn't even like dig deep enough here. Like, what are you doing? Like, you didn't even objection handle, or like you're you're looking at this, like look at your energy, look at your I guess tonality. Like you're not persuasive. You're just like robotically going through the sales call. So if you can repeat your sales call every here and then, at least twice a week, as closer, you're going to be elite because if you improve constantly, it's very um not likely that you're not going to improve. Like you're just going to get better. And then if you combine that with a good opportunity, like a good offer, that's it. That's all you need. Like you got a good offer. You're a good closer. You know how to sell. That's it. You're going to commission and you're going to change your life.
And has sales changed your life?
100,000 million%.
You forgot to say quadrillion as well.
Huh?
You forgot to say quadrillion as well. 100 million, 100,000, 100,000% quadrillion times.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I mean, you just gotta look at the results. I mean, I've tried different things. I tried drop shipping. You need a lot of capital. If you want to do Amazon FBA, you need capital, you need skills, you need marketing, you need sales. Like you need so many different things that it's not beginner friendly. Like as a beginner, you gotta go for the thing that makes the most sense. The less complexity of a business model you can go into, the better you're going to do. Because then it's going to be 100% up on you to get the results. And then once you make the results and you get the capital, you can invest into learning marketing. And then if you learn marketing, you can get into dropshipping, you can get into building a brand, you can get into info products. You can do whatever you want. But sales is the most foundational and most important skill to learn, in my opinion.
100%. I mean, sales is the most important, thing for a business. I mean, businesses need sales. And if you learn that, that skill of just selling, I mean, for me, I don't know if I told you this, but what I used to do, I used to sell sweets back in the day. And those skills at the time, because I was so young, I didn't even know, like, those would be so important today to say, hey, if you're doing sales, you just need to base things off of value. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we probably have different approaches to this. And I would also just love to hear your input on this. Just focusing on, communicating the value and saying, hey, this is what, this is the problem that you have, and this is the solution that we have, and just communicating that value or the solution that you have in the way that they understand and not, being too salesy. For me, I don't like to like sell directly, if you get what I mean. Like I like to say, hey, let's build a relationship or just a like a mutual understanding. And then from there, if you want to work together, then that's 100% cool. I will help you out and then we'll work together. But if you don't, then that's also okay. I mean, what would you say, to people that just want to sell, sell, sell to people? Do you think that people get tired of that in the long run, like consumers from your sales calls and people that you've spoken to? Do you think they hop onto a sales call and they're like, hey, this guy's just gonna sell me, he's not gonna care about what it is that like the actual core problem? Or do you have a different view towards that?
Yeah, a lot of prospects come into the call with the thinking, oh, this guy is just going to sell me.
Hmm.
But for me, yeah, I mean, you gotta communicate the value what you're selling. But people buy because they feel that your solution will help them get to the output, which is their desired life. So you're the bridge at the end of the day. And you gotta bridge that gap. So essentially, for me, is like you gotta dig deep into the why, not what he. Of course, you gotta ask what you need and why do you want this specifically. So I'm just going to do a quick example. Let's say I ask you, Farid, like, why do you want to get into web design or web development, and you tell me because I just like technology and I just run away with that. Are you going to close? Are you going to buy my services just off of that and just me presenting a solution? You could probably do if you genuinely like the solution. But a good closer will always dig deep into the why. Like you're doing web development, web designing, probably because you like more in like the back end side of things. You like programming since you were a kid, probably because I don't know, maybe a family member introduced you to it and it has big meaning or something like that. And then you can actually talk about the pain of not doing it or like doing something else because if this goes wrong, what will you do? Oh, I will just have to commute to a 9 to 5. How will that feel? It's like you will be scared. Like that's not an option. So if this is not an option, what makes the most sense? You know,
It's your solution.
it's my solution. So for me, it's like you gotta really understand your prospect, not just communicate the product or service. Like, of course you have to, but it's not the most important thing for me.
Okay. It's just basically helping them and asking those questions that
Yeah,
get to the root of what problem they're basically having.
yeah.
Okay, okay. And what has been the biggest lesson, that you've had just doing sales, and how has that shaped you into the Miguel that you are today? I mean, what have you learned about yourself during while by doing sales, essentially?
Um, I learned that sales is no different from real life. Like you talk to a prospect about changing his limiting beliefs and taking action and bet on themselves. But then you go ahead and you're comfortable and you're not really investing into yourself and you're like risk averse, right? Like you gotta be coherent with yourself. And that's something I've been doing. I've been investing in myself constantly. And then I'm also taking risks. I'm investing a good amount of money in ads also. I'm investing into a lot of different things every single day on a consistent basis. So sales has allowed me to change a lot of people's life, but also build my character, like build my own, I guess, my own way of life, you could say, because I'm impacting people. So I gotta impact mine as a result.
100%, 100%. I mean, sales is such a, a wonderful mode, if you will, to transform people's lives. And I think sometimes, at least, from what I've, been learning recently, is that sales is just the transfer of value. And you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, but I think just ultimately sales is basically like if you have the mindset of I want to provide the most amount of value to this person, you ultimately just get the deal done. I don't know if it's true in your case where you just go into a sales call and you're like, hey, I no matter what happens, I don't care about the outcome, like you've spoken about. I'm just gonna make sure that focus on providing as much value as I possibly can for them and just asking those questions because by asking those questions they ultimately feel like they're heard and ultimately depending on who you're selling to b2b b2c especially b2c. I've never really done b2c and I'm sure
Yeah.
you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's just more so just feeling heard, like hey, this person understands my solution. I mean, this person understands my problem and they have the solution that can that can solve my problem, and ultimately I also trust this person. That's I think that's the most important thing, just that trust factor, especially when it comes to high ticket deals, right? I mean, what difference is there that you've seen, especially in high ticket to low ticket deals, or have you solely just been doing high ticket?
No, I done low ticket as well. So one thing is, before I went into high ticket sales, Uh,
Mhm.
I was part of a company as a shareholder,
Mhm.
like 25% of the company,
Mhm.
because I was selling educational government-backed high school degrees by teaching
Mhm.
them how to basically we created a system that was allowed by the government, let's just say, that people don't need to go to a school physically. They study from the internet, and then we give them the degree, and it's backed legally by the government. So it allowed them to get into university without going to high school. And our ICP was people that were bullied at school, people that didn't really wanted to go to school, or they have disabilities, stuff like that. So we helped them. That was our solution. It's absolutely crushing it right now. Like, I stopped doing it. Basically, at a time we run low on funds, and then I just really didn't want to do it further. It was very low ticket, and low ticket services are hard. I'm not going to come here and say are easy, because they could take a month or even a week to decide to get you to give you $20 for like, it sounds crazy, but people pay $3,000 on a daily basis to me. Way easier than $20 back then. So
Mhm.
it's honestly like, low ticket is not for everybody, but if you do it right and you got good volume, you could also as well become extremely wealthy.
So so basically, focusing on low ticket is more volume, just getting more people on sales calls. And by saying that, like I'm not, the best, most versed in terms of, like closing. Would you say that, if you're just starting out or you're just getting into the first, like beginning of sales, low ticket is the way to go, or just straight up high ticket from the beginning, from the
Oh,
get-go?
high ticket from the beginning, bro. Like, just become a setter, go through the
Mm-hmm.
trenches. Don't expect anything to happen quickly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
expect it to be hard because it's supposed to be, and then just work your ass off, bro. Like, put in the work. Like, you might as well like commit to sales for 2 years minimum before you even build your own business. But that's okay, because you're building capital, which is investment, and then you're also building your skill set, which is going to be useful. And regardless, whatever you do, any service, any company needs sales. And then third of it, network connections, systems, processes of what you're seeing within the company that you're working for anyway. So you're learning so many different skills that you will apply into any different businesses. So it makes sense. Like, it makes the most sense actually. Just going to high ticket.
So high ticket, I would have thought it's low ticket first. That's interesting. And do you get a lot more yeses in the high ticket space or in the low ticket space? Because you mentioned just now that you get a lot of more resistance in the low ticket space, or is that just a complete limiting belief, or is it
Hey,
dependent?
it is a limiting belief, of course. At the end of the day, like, if you have a good sell system in the low ticket, you could get yes, you can get them to commit. But the thing is, since it is a low ticket service, it's very difficult to get in terms of B2C, right? Like the ICP. If the ICP is B2C, which is consumers, everyday people, right? They will buy your service, your product. It's productized, so they have options. So you're not really that valuable. You're valuable, but it's about how you present yourself as the only option that will make the change. So it has everything to do with marketing, and then also with sales and low ticket. And I was watching an Imengatsi video he uploaded like last week. He was talking about it himself. He said low ticket is harder, in his opinion, than high ticket, because it takes so many different skill sets to go from high ticket to low ticket and pretending to close hundreds of thousands of people to make the same amount of returns from high ticket, right? So it's interesting, but you could say that low ticket is a little bit harder, and or it's not even that it's harder. I think it's just easier to get into high ticket. I think that's it.
Mhm. I think that answer will definitely help out a lot of people now just getting into the space. But I'm sure, like, in terms of mindset, like thinking, oh my days, now I'm gonna have to close like a 10, 20K deal. How do you overcome that? Like, is there a specific mindset trick or way to think about it or mental model that you use
I do,
specifically for that?
and I
Talk to
didn't
me,
learn
talk
this
to me.
from anybody, by the way. Like I made
Hmm.
up with it myself. The way I think it is, let's say Free has $100 million,
Hmm.
and you give away 20 million. That's 20% of your total net worth. So it's
Hmm.
valuable. But if you give away 500,000 and you get a good return of investment because you know it's something you believe on, it's for your own business, it's an investment, it's going to make your life easier. Will you say no?
No.
But like, if Ari only has $600,000 and I ask you 100,000, that's like 20-30% of your net worth, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, when you get into a sales call, you're getting and you have a 20K product, to sell the back end, the marketing needs to attract qualified prospects, qualified buyers. And the ICP, depending on the product, will be entrepreneurs with a company or 2% of zip code in the US. It really depends on how you market it. But people coming into your sales call will have the money. So if they have the money, it's like you just need to think it this way. 20% of your net worth is probably going to be tough. But if they have 100,000 and you charge them 15K, 20K, it's significant to them. But still, you communicate the value. It's like if you had $100 and you took 20. Like,
That's
the,
good.
you know?
100%. That's 20%.
Yeah.
So you saying like I think Alex Ramosi talks about this like selling to rich people because rich people can basically afford it. Because if you take in, like you said, like $20 from someone that has $100, that feels more weight, like they're gonna have more resistance to basically give you that $20 over if they had $100,000. What's a hundred
Right.
dollars? What is $20? And I think that just comes from selling to the right people, right? To communicate to the right people as well, because they're not gonna, be as, like resistant, because it's for them it's like, okay, that's like 0.1% of my total net worth. If it comes back, then that's fine. If it doesn't, then obviously you want it to come back, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna, it's not gonna wipe out their entire net worth, right?
Yeah, I mean, plus if you're selling something you believe on, something you believe in, sorry, and then you also know for a fact it will change their business, and you communicate it the right way, and you will think a rich person is coming into my sales call. What could he possibly be thinking in terms of pain? How can I get pain out of? How can I get what his why or he digging deep into his why? And a lot of people have a lot of limiting beliefs, but it doesn't even matter. Like, Free, I'm pretty sure you have a why. I'm pretty sure you know that I have a why, and I'm pretty sure you know Imangati himself has a why. Like, it doesn't even matter like at what level you are. If you have the solution to your problems and they come into the sales call and they take the time out of their day to come into the sales call and they are qualified, what difference does it make from 3K, 5K, 10K, 20K, right?
100%.
That's it. I mean, it's just your conviction. Get if you speak with conviction, you got them.
And true. And you know, like everyone in this world has problems. Even like you can think of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and all these people. They all have problems, and they all need their
Yeah.
problems solved.
As a matter of fact,
And
bro, and sorry to interrupt you
hmm
there. Like I was
hmm
seeing, I was so interesting. So I was
hmm
watching Amazon, like their shareholders, like the majority of the
hmm
shareholders, they are buying companies on a daily basis. They are buying
hmm
software on a daily basis. They're getting into the AI space. They are buying small companies, companies that were started from people that didn't have money before. So that just gives you the truth. Like Jeff Bezos himself is investing into these different kind of companies, even though he's arguably one of the richest people on earth. So it doesn't really matter as long as you're selling something useful. Like people will buy it.
100%. I mean, if it solves problems, and problems are never ending. Like you will always come across someone with a problem, and it's just communicating the value that you have to solve that problem, and you know, then that's the value you exchange, aka also known as sales. I mean,
Yeah,
would you agree or disagree?
yeah, I will agree 100%.
100%, 100%. So, what is next? What is next for Miguel? We've spoken about everything, you know, from how you started in the online space, how you're thinking about the online space, the challenges that you've had. But what is next for Miguel? Is it still staying in the online space and just grinding it out, in terms of sales, or are you building your own thing, or what does the future for Miguel look like?
Yeah, I'm building my own info product. So
Mm-hmm,
it's going great, fortunately. God
mm-hmm,
willing, is going to be one of the biggest in just Spanish speaking industries. So right now we only have like three competitors like that are really big in this space
mm-hmm,
in the niche that I am, which is like piece up, like sales coaching. There's like three people that are like insanely big. Of course, there's a lot of people, like not as much as English speaking countries.
mm-hmm.
So for me, the biggest thing is impacting everybody that speaks Spanish over the next years and teaching them that they can actually change their lives. And once they do that, I will be able to, through that impact, build bigger things and stuff. But for me, that's the next step.
So just B2C basically.
Yeah, just B2C. Of course, I got to get into B2B because I'm connecting my students with roles. So I'm getting into the B2B. For now, I'm not even charging for placing people. I just help them out and I'm building good relationships with business owners and stuff. But besides that, B2C is mainly my focus for now.
100%, 100%. I think, you know, would you say for most salespeople, like people into sales, like the most natural progression is from DM setting, then closing, then from closing, like there's a cap out, if you will. Do you basically cap out and then say, hey, like we've reached this point. Now the next natural evolution is to run your own info, or is it something that, you know, is very dependent on the situation?
It depends on the person's ambition.
Mhm,
Let's just say that
mhm,
because you can become a sales manager. After you become the sales manager, you can even become a shareholder. Let's say you're so valuable, so you're so good at sales. And I know
mhm,
this because I know some people that do. They are so good at
mhm,
sales that the company itself offers like like the holdings, like the actions, right?
mhm.
So basically, you're holding actions from a company that's generating $500,000 a month. Like you're part of the company now, so it makes sense for you to stay and build it further. That's the
100%.
point you could get into as a closer or as a salesperson. But some people like me get into building our own companies because we want to create. bigger impact because not everything is money, or at least for me and some people, and even yourself. Like money is not everything. Because if I go for money, I will just still be like I will probably be a manager at a company or something, right? But that's not something I necessarily want to do. Like I'd rather just build my company, and then of course I'm still closing at the same time. But for me, it really depends on the person.
100%. So it's about, in as much as you can do all these things, have money and stuff like that, create value. The most important thing as well is to have something external, outside of the business, because it's not just all about business, 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 but it's about impact. And I'm sure it's the same for you, right?
Yeah,
You wanna, I don't know, like this is just my assumption that you want to help millions, or just a lot of people from Colombia that had that were in the same position that you were in, not being aware of the online space and the opportunities that are there, and that's why you basically decided to start building your own info. Because I mean, if you're not gonna do it, who else is gonna do it? You know what I mean? Like, who else is gonna help
exactly.
all those people?
But I'm
You
also
know?
helping people in Spain. I'm helping people from
Really?
Spain. Yeah,
Hmm.
Spain, Hispanics in the USA, Mexicans,
Hmm.
Argentinians, like Ecuador, Colombia. Like I'm helping every single country, and I'm starting from Colombia and Spain. So those are my main two. And then I also have Mexican students. I have Colombian students, and I have a couple of Spain students. So that's kind of like my ICPs, every country that speaks Spanish, but mainly Spain and Colombia for now.
100. Wow. Wow. Bro, I know you're gonna crush it. I know the future's looking good for you. I believe that you're gonna change the whole entire landscape of the is it Spanish speaking market,
Yeah,
right? Okay, the entire Spanish speaking market. And I'm sure, like, bro, your story from when I've known you for the past over a year is just truly inspiring. I remember that first day when you're like, guys, I did it, and I was like, bro, that's my guy, Miguel. And I remember I texted you straight away, and I was like, bro, like, you deserve this, bro. Like, I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy that into the future you're just going to continue building, and you're going to help millions of other people, like, that were in the same position as you, and also just inspire other people, because I know that that is somewhat of the level of impact that you'd also want to have. But I do want to, just end off on one question to, just basically just tie everything together, which is, if you could speak to your younger self and tell them that this is who you'd become into the future, and give them guidance, your younger self and also your future self, what would you say? Like, is there anything that pops into mind, like advice you'd give your younger self and yourself into the future?
yeah. I mean, for my younger self, keep going, regardless of whatever you do. I know you will figure it out, and do not be too how to say this, bro? Like do not be too cruel with yourself. Because I'm an extremely cruel person with myself. And then for my future version of me, I'll say like I can only hope everything was worth it. Like I can only hope I enjoy the journey really. Like enjoy the journey.
Love that.
Yeah,
Um, just continue to enjoy the journey, the ups and downs, and life will be good.
exactly.
100%. Bro, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, on this video. Like, you're truly an inspiration to so many people, and I know you're gonna help so many people. I'm just super grateful for you taking the time out of your day to hop in and to, just chat it up, and just share some thoughts, and just share some value as well. I know that into the future we're gonna be doing big things together, bro, and I'm
Yeah,
super excited to just watch you grow your info, and just keep crushing it as always, bro. Do you have any place that people can find you and connect with you, or?
yeah, for sure. Instagram. So basically, soy Miguel Angel. So for people that don't know how to look that up, is basically this one. And yeah,
100%. 100%. Thank you, bro. Thank you for taking the time once again. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions or you want to connect with Miguel, I'll just drop his socials in the bio, and then you guys will just check it out. So, peace.